Good evening. This is the City of Harvey regular City Council meeting for Monday, December 14, 2020 at 7 o'clock p.m. If we are ready to proceed, we're calling this meeting to order. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski.
Present.
Alderman Tolbert. Alderman Crudup.
Present.
Alderman Key. Alderman Randall L.
Present.
Alderman Rogers.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on our agenda is the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Alderman Randall L., would you be so kind as to lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Father God, we thank you for your grace and mercy that has carried us this far. Lord, we ask right now that you would come and be a part of this meeting, Father, and that you would lead us and guide us, Father, as we continue to lead and guide our city in a better direction for the betterment of our city and our residents, Father. We put all agendas to the side and place your agenda first. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderman Randall L. Our next item on the agenda is a public hearing for our proposed transit-oriented district, TOD, tax increment financing district. Excuse me. Welcome to the City of Harvey public hearing for the proposed Harvey transit-oriented district redevelopment project area. The proposed TIF district covers an area that includes most of our downtown area, as well as other strategic properties, such as some related to the University of Chicago Medical Ingalls Hospital campus. The successful redevelopment of this area is extremely important to the city and all of its residents. We have a unique opportunity to assist in transforming our community, and this proposed TIF district is a critical step in that direction. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act under Illinois Compiled Statutes, Chapter 65, Sections 5/11-74.4-5, also known as the TIF Act. In conformance with the TIF Act, the city has duly completed all of the procedures and notice requirements related to the city's potential adoption of this TIF district. I will now turn matters over to Timothy Williams, our city administrator, for additional comments, and will then ask him to introduce the city's TIF consultant to make a brief presentation before we invite public comments related to the proposed TIF district. Mr. Williams? If Mr. Williams is available.
Thank you, Mayor. My apologies, had some technical difficulties here. And thank you, Council. We're going to go straight into the presentation and introducing Charles Durham.
Yes, I'm Charles Durham with Kane McKenna Associates. Also with me tonight is Phil McKenna. Phil is going to actually give the presentation. If I can share the screen, I'm going to put up a PowerPoint that we'll be using to walk through the highlights of the TIF district.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm Phil McKenna, President of Kane McKenna Associates. And over the last almost year, we've worked with Tim and the mayor and Chuck and myself and Nick Reifer to establish and bring to your attention potential transit-oriented district for tax increment financing. We go to the next slide. What we're going to talk about just briefly tonight is what a redevelopment project and plan is all about. In other words, a TIF district, how the mechanism works, what are the qualifying factors with respect to the TIF Act, some key elements of the TIF plan, and what next steps the City Council will have before it if it wishes to go forward. As background, the proposed TIF district is situated in the city's downtown area, as the mayor pointed out. It runs along 154th as well as along Broadway. It's a highly visible and strategically important area for the city, particularly given the relationship with the hospital in the area and the transit-oriented nature of the fact that the train stop is right in the middle of it. There's conditions that we found existing which challenge the area's potential for redevelopment, and that was in connection with the comprehensive plan and the 2005 TOD comprehensive plan that both pointed out the character of this area and the way it could serve the city better in the future. If we go to the next one, we are. With respect to the use of the city's planning economic development resources, this would seek to mitigate conditions which are on the decline within the potential TIF district. Potential redevelopment projects are not felt to be likely to be economically feasible without some intervention in terms of public improvements and developer incentives. We go to the next slide, Jeff. This is the boundary of the TIF. We can get into more specifics if anyone would like after the presentation. Go to the next one. The redevelopment project and plan is sort of the main plan of the TIF pursuant to the Act. The TIF plan conforms to the city's comprehensive plan and to its 2005 TOD plan. Redevelopment project area consists only of contiguous parcels and exceeds 1.5 acres in total. And we feel that a but-for requirement under the Act has been met. Redevelopment is only feasible with the utilization of tax increment financing and or other incentive programs as documented in the eligibility report. This is basically a depiction of how TIF works. At the time that a TIF district is established, the base equalized assessed valuation is frozen. And that particular frozen equalized assessed valuation multiplied by the tax rates of each jurisdiction continue to go to all the taxing districts. So basically they're held harmless, if you will, in terms of where they are now, including the city's equalized assessed valuation. In the future, as there are increases in equalized assessed valuation as a result of development, there's a second bucket created, which we call the incremental revenues bucket. That's basically saying that future development occurs, equalized assessed valuation goes up, therefore the taxes collected go up. The base year taxes stay in that first bucket and go out to all the taxing districts. The increased taxes are in that second bucket and are available to the city to prudently use with respect to rehabilitation, public infrastructure, and other improvements. The next one, qualifying factors for an area. There's 13 possible factors in an area. First thing you do is try to decide if this is a conservation area or a so-called blighted area. We found this to be a conservation area, and the reason is that more than 50% of the structures are 35 years of age or older. Statute provides if it's a conservation area, then you need 3 out of possible 13 factors present and reasonably distributed. The main point that I think we want to make here is that these are not depictions of each and every parcel within a TIF district. The area as a whole is found to contain these types of disruptions. I'm not going to read through all these, but you can see that the list of conservation area factors really runs to the age and character of the existing land. We go on to the next one. Inadequate utilities, deleterious land layout, and land use are things that relate more to the infrastructure in the area. And we certainly found the need for upgraded infrastructure within the area. So within this TIF proposed area, there's 144 structures. 115 of them are more than 35 years of age or older, 80%. And we found 7 factors: dilapidation, deleterious layout and land use, lack of community planning, excessive vacancies, deterioration, obsolescence, and lagging or declining equalized assessed valuation. Again, this means they were found in the area as a whole, not in every individual parcel. Maybe an important one to focus on is the last one, that this area's equalized assessed valuation has been declining in real terms and declining relative to the rest of the city as well. Go to the next one. Some key elements of what the TIF plan has in it. The base year is established. It's about $10.8 million. That'll be certified by the county. The budget itself represents the maximum possible of expenditures. It's not an authorization in any sense. In order to expend any money pursuant to the TIF district, one would have to come back before the city council, follow the regular procedures for expenditure allocations through the city. The budget is meant to represent maximum possible expenditures for 35 years as well. We want to accommodate potential development requirements. We also want to provide for public infrastructure improvement that could be funded by TIF revenues in the future. TIF eligible costs are not only for public improvements and incentives, but also potentially for private redevelopment. That is to say, if a commercial enterprise within the TIF wanted to reinvest money in terms of rehabbing their facility to help out that small business, that is possible to use TIF money for. We go to the next slide. The next slide is the budget is set up. And again, understanding this is maximum and all subject to further city council action. Just note that the two largest items are public improvements, sized at about $15 million, and rehabilitation of existing structures, sized at about $10 million. There's also a line in there for school tuition and library costs. If the TIF district results in new students or new patrons to the library, then certain amounts of the increment are set aside for those uses. So we're at a point here, if we go to the next slide, we're at a point here where we have had a joint review board meeting with all the relevant taxing districts in the area. We've sent out notice to all of the taxing districts throughout the area in Cook County. We've sent out notice to anyone within 750 feet of this area, notifying them of the intent to go through with the public hearing. Now, after you consider this tonight, you would have to set aside for at least 2 weeks any consideration of the final ordinances. So it's a process that's been open. It's been continuing for almost a year now. And we think we're at a point where we'd like to hear any questions or comments that anyone has on it. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKenna. Before we get into public comment, the chair will recognize the Alderman from the 6th Ward.
Directed to Mr. McKenna, you mentioned something in regards to existing structures, and you were going to allocate $10 million into that. Would these existing structures, would they exceed the time limitation of over 35 years old?
Not necessarily, Alderman. It's really up to you. I would say you tend to want to use that money to help existing businesses grow and expand. And generally, what amount you're able to give is tied to what additional increment they'll be able to produce. So let's say somebody has a store in the area, and they're going to rehabilitate that store and get more customers, and it's expected that will increase assessed valuation by $10,000, and they're asking for $5,000, just as an example. That would be a good thing to do.
Mr. McKenna, I've got a lot of papers here in front of me, and it's a little overwhelming. Can you give me the exact east, west, north, south boundaries of this TIF area?
I may need some help with that, Chuck, but we're along Broadway. The spine is sort of 154th Street. On the east, I think we're just going as far as the train station. Chuck, is that right?
Right, where the metro station and the metro road and the railroad tracks.
Okay.
And on the west, I think is that Honoree is the western nexus, I think?
Explain again, Phil?
I thought it was Honoree was the western nexus.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. 154th from Broadway over to the metro station, west Honoree. So right. 154th would be the north corridor over to 155th.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I got no further questions.
Any other questions from the Alderman, City Council members? Hearing none, we will open this for public comment. First, I'll ask the clerk if she has any one who submitted for an opportunity to have public comment during this part of our meeting, during the public hearing.
I have 4 people that did want public comment. They did not say if they wanted to do it for this public hearing, so I guess I'm going to ask them if they want to talk now. I'll mention the first one is Deborah Dyson.
Okay. Deborah Dyson, are you here?
We'll go with the second one now. Don Hampton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Don Hampton, and I'm representing Family Christian Health Center. And I just logged in just to see how this would benefit or affect the Family Christian Health Center.
Okay, well, thank you very much for attending, Mr. Hampton. Did you have a comment to go along with that, or was that your statement?
Just my statement.
Thank you very much, good sir.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, would you please continue?
Michelle Roby.
Hi, I'm Michelle Roby. I'm just here trying to get an idea of what to expect as a business owner in the city. I'm right on the corner of 155th and Broadway. So thanks for having me, and I have no other comment.
Thank you, Ms.
Betty
Rhodes.
Hall. Betty Hall. And those were the only 4.
Okay, if there is anyone who's attending this meeting at this time by Zoom and you have a public comment, if you would please raise your hand by Zoom, we will give you some time to do so. We would love to hear your comment as well. Okay, there being none, we will conclude this portion of our meeting and public hearing regarding the TIF, Transit-Oriented District TIF Redevelopment Project. And at this particular point in time, as Mr. McKenna said, there is no need for action. On behalf of the council, we will readdress this issue and decide if action will be taken within 40, but no more than 90 days from today's public hearing. So we will move forward in our agenda. Our next item on the agenda, item 5, new business. We have 5A, the approval of minutes dated November 9, 2020. The chair would entertain a motion.
I make the motion that we accept the minutes for November 9th.
Second.
There's been a motion by the first and a second by the third. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert. Alderman Key. Alderman Rogers.
No.
Alderwoman Drewinski.
Yes.
And Alderman Crudup.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item on the agenda is 5B, bills for payment list, November 5th, 2020 and November 24, 2020. We will take those individually. The chair will entertain a motion for the approval of bills for payment list November 5, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Motion by the third, second by the first. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Rogers.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm trying to look through something here. Finance Chair approves the bills for November 5th.
Okay, can we have your vote? Is that your vote?
Yes.
Alderman Crudo,
Yes.
Alderman Key, Alderman Tolbert, Alderwoman Drowinski,
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next, the bills for payment list. The chair will entertain a motion for bills for payment for November 24, 2020.
Point of order, sir.
The chair recognizes the Alderman from the 6th Ward.
We had a finance meeting this week last week. And there was an outstanding bill for Axel Glenk, Diamond, and Bush in the amount of $54,954.07. And there's another invoice for $12,440.93. The chair recommends payment of the entire list except for this until we have further discussion. And I do have some minutes from the finance meeting to reflect on why I'm having difficulty paying this bill.
Okay.
Point of order.
The chair recognizes the first Alderwoman from the 1st Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question goes to the finance chair. When I was reading the minutes, Alderman Rogers, I came across, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when it came to this particular bills list, November 24th, one vote was a no and one vote was to send it to the committee, to the board as a whole. Am I correct on that?
First Ward Alderman Drowinski, you are certainly correct.
So as the finance chair recommends not paying those bills, but the committee suggested,
those
right?
bills meaning plural. There was only one singular bill on that November 24th bills list that I wanted to omit from paying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one, but your other committee members suggested to go to the council as a whole, correct?
And again, there was singular. There was only one other committee member. There were not members. There was just me and Alderman Randall.
Okay, so the outcome, it was a tied vote.
Basically, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So being a tied vote, then that recommendation, in my opinion, should not have made it to regular council in the first place. It should be a full bill.
My understanding, Mr. Mayor, is that if there's a tie in the committee meeting, it has to come before the entire council for discussion and then for a vote.
Okay. So we're discussing it now. So how about what I do is to ask you, Alderman Rogers, what it appears to be the issue that you would like to see resolved regarding those particular bills.
Okay. I'd like to briefly read what went on in the finance meeting.
Yes.
Just only a little bit. Some discussions on the bills list for 11/24/2020. Alderman Rogers found bills to be relatively normal, except for the bill submitted by Axel Glenk Diamond Bush in the amount of $54,000. When Alderman Rogers asked about the specifics of the attorney's bill, Mr. Williams, meaning Lewis Williams, gave an answer that was extremely vague. The consensus was issued to approve payment, and Alderman Rogers indicated no, and Alderman Randall indicated yes. This issue will be decided at the regular meeting. Now, the issue is there's some unquestionable things that's going on with Axel Glenk Diamond, and I asked for an invoice. And I've been asking for an invoice, and I still can't get it. Now, Mr. Williams is so graciously in trying to explain what actually goes on, but I need to see something tangible on how are Axel Glenk invoicing us. Are they doing it electronically? Are they sending in paper copies? Whichever it is, I would just like somebody from the controller's office to sit down and just let me see what we're being invoiced for. I don't see it, and I know I hear rumors, and I don't put a lot of merit into rumors, but I hear bits and pieces of it. We're all over the place with Axel Glenn, and there needs to be something done because these bills come out to an exorbitant amount of money every month. So that's my reasoning behind it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me ask you a question so I can make sure we get to the bottom of this. So it says that when Alderman Rogers asked about some specifics within the attorney's bill, but you're at the same time saying that you don't have a bill. So what specifics were you looking for
okay.
during the committee meeting?
Okay, they give us a spreadsheet with a dollar amount on it. If you look under the legal department 105, that's all we have. A spreadsheet with a dollar amount. We don't know how many hours they're billing us for. What was the case pertaining? Even though I'm very confidential and it wouldn't go any further, but I need to know, what are we litigating? When I asked them what was the bill for, what his reply was? Litigations. Well, that's what attorneys do. They litigate. Plumbers plumb, mechanics turn screws, and lawyers litigate. That's what they do. And that's basically all he told me. And, and it would be remiss of me if I went any further with this until I have a little more substantial, information on what we're being billed for.
Okay. So are you suggesting that there may be something that lawyers litigate on that is not proper?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
Before I continue, Corporation Counsel, do you have anything to add?
Well, we are representing the city in almost 100 lawsuits, including workers' compensation cases, in addition to the daily activities. And every month we do provide itemized bills, probably, 30 pages a month to the city. And it's broken down in 10-minute increments on everything we work on attributable to any file. So the city has all of that. I believe we do submit it, a PDF of the invoice every month. So you certainly are welcome to look at that. The city has all of that. We're not just sending a bill saying $54,000. I mean, we itemize almost down to the 10-minute increments.
Well, attorney, I've been asking for this for months, and I've always been told that I could get access to that information. Unfortunately, it just has never appeared. Every time my friend, Mr. Williams, comes to a finance meeting, and I'm glad he's coming, but, he comes empty-handed, and it's just not doing us any good.
The chair, I think that was the third ward. I heard someone say something.
Fifth ward.
Fifth ward. Oh, okay. Chairman recognizes the alderman from the fifth ward.
Yes. On this particular matter, I think it would be if we can move toward a solution to this. I believe that Mr. Williams is in a situation where he does not want to maybe go into specifics of what's on this bill in a public meeting, just for privacy's sake and protecting the city in some way. So some arrangements need to be made in which Alderman Rogers and the Finance Committee requests could be granted in a way that they could review that invoice without necessarily Mr. Williams answering direct questions as to what's on the invoice. I believe that was kind of his issue and the reason why he was being as vague as he was, and maybe he just didn't know how to do it without maybe saying or something that may have been of a private matter that you wouldn't want to necessarily divulge publicly.
Thank you, Alderman. Were there any other comments, concerns? Okay, as an issue that went before the Finance Committee, there was a vote to not send it to Finance Committee. There was a vote to send it to Finance Committee. And so there was a tie. And at this particular point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the decision as chair to call this matter for a vote, because according to the finance chair, that is what was supposed to be done, that it was supposed to be sent for the council to make a decision. So what we will do is we will hear the council's decision based on the votes that they make. So I would, once again.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me 1 second.
And Chair recognizes the Alderman of 6th Ward.
You just made your motion. I think you kind of worded it wrong. It went from one vote in the Finance Committee to 1 yes to 1 no, and we suggested that we go to the regular meeting. And I think that's the way you really want to word it.
Okay, and I thought that's what I said, but okay. And so
just for the minute's sake.
Right, and so here it is now, the issue is in the regular meeting, and the decision of the council will be reflected in their votes. So the chair will once again ask for a motion. I just wanted to make sure before we continue that we had it for the record, whatever any objections were, and that we gave it the full discussion that I believe as a chair that it requires. But now the chair will entertain that motion to approve bills for payment for November 24th, 2020.
So moved.
Second. Oh,
We have a motion by
I'll retract.
We have a motion by the 3rd and a second by the 5th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Rogers,
No.
Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Key, Alderman Tover, Alderwoman Drowinski,
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, the next item on our agenda is 5C, ordinances and resolutions for the city of Harvey. That's 5C1, a resolution to partner with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning for technical assistance under the Resource Opportunity and Impact Program. Do we have any representatives from CMAP here today? Oh, there we go.
Yes, Mayor.
Maggie Jar, hi. Maggie.
Hi there.
Would you be so kind as to say a few words about your program, about the program and the great assistance that CMAP will be providing to the city of Harvey should the council approve?
Absolutely. I'm going to share my screen. I have just a handful of slides. Okay. Oops. Bear with me one moment. All right, Mayor, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it, yes.
Excellent, great. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you all this evening. As the mayor said, my name is Maggie Jar. I'm a senior planner at the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. And tonight I have just a short presentation to describe a new technical assistance program called the ROI program, Resource Opportunity and Impact. Now, CMAP is our region's comprehensive planning organization. And since the adoption of our long-range plan onto 2050, the agency has been developing some new types of technical assistance specifically aimed at building local government capacity. One of those new initiatives is the ROI program. So under this 6-month pilot program, CMAP staff will be assisting communities in getting transportation projects funded and in navigating those transportation investment programs. The goals of the program are to first establish consensus on priority transportation projects and determine next steps for implementation. Second, to build capacity of the municipality to apply for and manage funding. And finally, to get transportation projects in the pipeline for external funding. By the end of the program, each participating municipality will have a prioritized list of transportation projects and a clear strategy for how to implement them. We will also work with you on a number of grant-related activities and project coordination. And now we do want to customize these activities to meet your needs. So just some examples at this early stage of what that could include would be establishing procedures for grant application and grant management, providing staff trainings, or helping to prepare grant applications for funding transportation projects. Are my slides advancing for everyone?
No.
No? Okay. Let's see. Hopefully it can catch up. But I have just a few more notes. So
you can move forward. I got paper, so I mean.
Okay, great.
But we would like for our viewing audience to be able to see as well those who do not have paper.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You could go into your slideshow and then advance it that way.
Let's see. The slides are advancing on my end, but it sounds like they're not working.
Or we will. If it would not be too much of a bother, what we can do is we can come out of the screen sharing.
Sure.
And then go back in and see if it works. That's just one of those technical glitches of Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can bear with me one moment, I'm going to stop sharing and then try again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, let's do take two here. Okay. Are you looking at the title slide here?
Yes.
Okay, let's advance once and tell me if you see a large onto 2050
yes.
Slide.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay. Well, let's move through these once more then. Are you looking at ROI program now?
Yes.
Okay, good. It sounds like we're on track here. So I'll quickly review here. One of the new initiatives that CMAP is getting underway with now is a 6-month pilot program to assist communities in getting transportation projects funded and in navigating transportation investment programs. Next, you should be seeing here a list of 3 program goals. The first of which is to establish consensus on priority transportation projects and determining next steps for implementation. Second, to build capacity for the municipality to apply for and manage funding. And lastly here, to get transportation projects in the pipeline for external funding. The next slide here, you should see a title, Outcomes. And so here we're outlining, by the end of this program, that each participating municipality will have first a prioritized list of transportation projects and a clear strategy for how to implement them. We, as I mentioned, are looking to customize the grant-related activities and project coordination that we assist with as part of this program, but some examples might include establishing procedures for grant application and grant management, providing staff training, or helping to prepare grant applications that align with your priority transportation projects, or coordinating work on current existing grants. And lastly, we do hope that this program facilitates a strong, ongoing relationship and communication between your municipality, CMAP, as well as South Suburban mayors and managers and other partners to identify and pursue funding opportunities as they arise in the future. And lastly, I have a slide with just a few of the kind of next steps. We've already met with Mayor Clark and Tim Williams earlier this month to discuss the city's interest in partnering with us. Tonight, we're asking the council to consider a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with CMAP to partner under this program. And once an agreement is executed, we'll be ready to officially kick off the project and begin working with you. And so I want to thank you for your time and just emphasize that CMAP is really, really excited to be working with Harvey and at this point, I'd be happy to provide any additional details or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did any of our council members have any questions?
Yes, I have one.
The chair recognizes the alderman from the 6th Ward.
Ms. Jar,
Yes.
with CMAP, as far as municipalities in South Cook County, how many are you associated with, your organization?
Well, we are a regional agency serving 7 counties in northeastern Illinois, which encompasses 284 municipalities. So we do cover the entire South Suburban Cook.
You know, and you know, when you mention transportation, are you speaking in terms of more like bike paths, or you're talking about busing, or I mean, can you be a little more specific when you say transportation?
Sure. Yeah, it's a broad term that can encompass everything from bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure like sidewalks and bike paths, all the way to road reconstruction and looking at your pavement quality, all the way to freight and truck routes and routing. So it can encompass quite a lot of different mobility topics, and so we'll be again looking to customize the program to suit the needs of the city.
Now, Ms. Jar, we discussed earlier redevelopment project pertaining to Broadway from 154th to 155th down to Honoree to Broadway. Would your CMAP, would that intertwine or interact with that particular project as well?
Yeah, so one of the first phases of this program will be for CMAP staff to get to know the community, and that means getting to know you all as council members, but also getting to know your current planning situation, understanding where priorities are, the projects that are already being highlighted as really key and critical to the city. So that we'll be looking to gather all that information of sort of what's currently in the hopper, what projects are in your minds as priorities, and looking to kind of bring all of that together and bring consensus around those priority projects.
And to finance the resources that you're going to use will be done with grant money. It won't be any out-of-pocket cost to the city of Harvey.
No, there's no local match to participate in the program. As far as the funding programs that we might be highlighting as a good fit to match with priority transportation projects, it's going to be probably a wide variety of programs that we'll be looking at, but part of what we want to bring to the city is more awareness about what those grants or grant programs entail. Some of them do have local match, some you can be funded 100%. So we want to bring all of that to the city as part of this project, all of that information and understanding what those resources are.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jar.
Sure.
Chair recognizes the alderman from the 5th Ward. I saw your hand up.
Disregard.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution to partner with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning for Technical Assistance under the Response, Opportunity, and Impact Program, the memorandum of understanding between CMAP and the city of Harvey.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I hear a motion from the 1st Ward. Did I get a second?
I'll take the second.
Second by the 5th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Keyes, Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk and Council. Our next item on the, and thank you, Maggie Jar.
Excuse me, Mayor, do we have a number for that resolution?
Is there a number, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's 2924.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is 5C2. It's a redevelopment agreement by and between the City of Harvey and Skyline Provisions Incorporated. Excuse me. This is a particular redevelopment agreement, the city council actually approved, if I'm correct, the ability to go for to implement a no cash bid for properties on 160, I think it's 7th and Halsted, but and now we're getting to the next step of this phase as far as the development is concerned. If there is anyone here available from Skyline, do we have anyone available from Skyline?
Yes, Mayor, Ed Gricus, I'm the president of Skyline.
Yes, hi, could you please speak to the issue?
Yes, sir. Well, for the past year or two, as we've been working with you all, there was an abandoned house on 167th. We're just about, maybe a third of a block east of Halsted. And there's an abandoned home that's been abandoned probably for at least, I've been there for 10 years. So for at least the past 10 years. What we like to do is we would like to demolish that house and in 2 phases. The first phase would to be clear the lot, use it for parking as we develop a 25,000 square foot commissary where we will be producing sous vide processed meat items that we will serve to our parent company, SourceTech. And at SourceTech, we service about 550 long-term care facilities nationwide. It's a project we've been planning on for several years that we wanted to put in the building. And since we acquired Skyline about 15 years ago, we just thought it's just a great spot for us, specifically for the location, right off of Halsted and I-80.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Greifer, did you have anything to add?
No, I think you hit all the key points. This is a continuation of something that we started discussing way back right before COVID hit. And we've made a lot of progress despite COVID. And Skyline too has made a lot of progress. So we're excited to get to this stage, and this will be a nice way for the city to partner with a successful business that's expanding. And we hope to have more of these kinds of expansion projects going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. The chair would entertain a motion.
I make the motion
to
accept the resolution for Skyline. Yes, I'm very excited about this.
Okay, well, obviously the first ward alderwoman is excited about this award, so we would need a second to that motion.
A second.
I think I heard the 6th ward. Is that correct, Alderman Rogers?
Yes.
There's a second by the 6th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Key, Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Rogers,
Yes.
Alderwoman Drowinski,
Yes.
Alderman Crudup.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam
That's
Clerk.
2925, 2925.
Our next item on the agenda is 5C3, an ordinance amending Chapter 9-04 of the Harvey Municipal Code, offenses generally. This particular ordinance amends the ordinance by way of making additions to sex offender residence location and restrictions, as well as the sex offender registration requirement. In addition, there's violent offenders against youth registration requirement as well. I'm not sure if I see some. Chief Collins, would you like to speak on this issue, please?
Mayor, could you repeat that, please?
I asked, would you speak on the issue regarding this ordinance? That's the ordinance regarding sexual offenders.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We wanted to put more teeth in this ordinance. We did not have a very robust sexual offender registration program, so it was kind of out of sorts, and it had been for years. One of our sergeants had been going through the files and discovered that they had not been updated. They also discovered that some offenders had not been registering correctly. And we had also, ironically, had sex offenders that lived in the city of Chicago come to Harvey because it was easier to register here and not be tracked. So we asked for this ordinance to be put together so that we can start tracking these sex offenders, keeping track of the records, making sure that they're updated with the state police, and also make sure that we are collecting some revenue off of these sex offenders.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate the work that you and the department do every day here in the city.
Thank you, Mayor.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the ordinance amending chapter 9-04 of the Harvey Municipal Code, offenses generally.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I heard the first word for the motion, and who was the second?
I'm second.
Okay, got a third on the second. So I have a motion from the first and a second from the third. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Abstain.
Alderman Key, Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item on the agenda is 5C4. Please give
ordinance.
us the ordinance number.
Yes, it's 3410. 3410.
Thank you again, Madam Clerk. Our next item on the agenda is 5C4, so resolution approving submission of the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program grant application. Either Mr. Williams or Mr. Greifer can speak on this issue. Where is Mr. Williams? Is he here? Yes. Can speak on this issue. Mr. Greifer, would you like to speak on this?
Yeah, let me just, I think I was involved with the ITEP grant writing, which is a important grant that we are pursuing currently. So basically, to understand the action before the City Council is just to authorize the mandatory step in terms of filing our grant application. That's basically it. That's just this mandatory step that we would follow. And that's basically to indicate our formal support for the grant application.
Okay, with Mr. Williams, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please explain to the council a little bit more of what the grant actually is or the purpose of it?
It's a active transportation grant application. We're focusing on complete streets, which are multimodal transportation connections down 155th Street, It's going to be connecting Ingalls and continuing the improvements. We're looking to invest a lot of, along with the TIF and some of the other things that we're doing, we're focusing a lot of our efforts and energies into bringing back the downtown corridor, downtown area there. And so this grant application will allow for some new sidewalks, bike lanes, wayfinding, and some other improvements that we're looking to implement in the downtown area.
Yeah, and I would just add that this would kind of parallel the previous grant application of Cook County last fall that we successfully obtained for 154th. This would be similar, but on 155th. And this probably will have a little bit more of a bike emphasis. There's a little bit more room for bike lanes on 155th. So you'll see more pedestrian improvements on 154th, and then this would be, if we get the grant, for more bike improvements. But they both contribute to the downtown and help connect to the the revitalized Harvey Transportation Center that's been funded by a state grant.
Okay, and then it appears from the resolution that this extends from Dixie Highway to Park Avenue, so that basically complete stretch on 155th. Also, let me also add, because sometimes we add the word bike to a presentation without the community actually understanding that it's not just bikes, it's the actual road improvement itself that has to be done. It's the road improvement, it's the sidewalk improvement, the curb improvement, and then of course, you know, a bike lane or some other type of additional improvement is just like the cherry on the top. So we want to make sure that we get that understanding as far as our community is concerned, so they can understand that it's not just to pass an ordinance for a bike lane. It's actually for a total street or complete street improvement.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wanted to make sure that that was clear. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate the work that you do. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution approving submission of the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program grant application.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, the chair recognizes 6th Ward.
I'd just like to go on the record as saying that we've voted on several resolutions and ordinances tonight, and they all seem to be pertaining to 154th and 155th and in that area. I'm all in favor of enhancing and beautifying our city, but there is more to our city than just 154th. There's a street called Sibley. There's a street called Halsted. These are all areas that are held within our city. As a matter of fact, 154th was theoretically known as the downtown area. But if you look at it realistically right now, 147th Street is more of a downtown area than 154th. And I just think that some of these improvements need to be done over in that area as well, as far as on Sibley. I just wanted that known for the record.
And we thank you so much, Alderman, for making that. You have been a zealous advocate for the 6th Ward. I'd like to say to you and also the 6th Ward residents, as I've said before, the 6th Ward is not forgotten. So there is a street called Sibley that is in the city of Harvey. And on that street is included in our new lighting program that we have put forth and sent out, I guess, a variety of mailers to the residents, including residents of the 6th Ward. There's also a street called Halsted. You are correct. And
I saw that mailer.
And that is also a part of our lighting program as well. So here it is, just so everyone can understand. What we are doing is we are building a city, and we are building a city, whether one would agree or not, one bone at a time, one muscle at a time. We're building it one brick at a time. So this isn't a, what would I call it? This isn't not a conflict. I want to make sure that you and also anyone that is viewing this can understand, you know, that this is we have an abundance, at least I do. I have a mindset of abundance here in the city of Harvey. So it's not as if we don't do it here today, that it will never, ever be there. We're just building it one brick at a time. And so at this particular time, what's available to us, we're trying to take advantage of what's available. So if there is a grant that can, say, for instance, work on our 155th Street, we would not turn that down and say, because we haven't done anything on Sibley or Halsted. We're still keeping Sibley and Halsted in mind. If there's a grant for 154th Street, we wouldn't say, no, we don't want that grant because we still have things that we need to do on Calumet Boulevard, or there's something that we need to do on Peoria or Sangamon. We would still understand that we have to do that work there as well. But we are rebuilding a city. We're building a better Harvey. And so for all of us, and I appreciate the fact that you are on board and you recognize the importance of the work, it's important that we also recognize that where we have come from or where we started, we have a bit of a heavy lift to get there. But I have guaranteed you from the very beginning, Alderman Rogers, I will continue to guarantee you as different things come available, as far as Halsted, for instance. Halsted has been redone by IDOT, okay? And they're continuing to work their way down Halsted. So you see the new pavement down Halsted, you see the new curbs down Halsted. Eventually, you're going to see the new lights down Halsted. So there has been some investment in, in those streets and in those areas, but we're just building it one brick at a time. I will not belabor that issue, but I will recognize, the chair will recognize the alderman from the 5th Ward.
But before we go any further, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make one statement. And I do know that there have been some improvements on Halsted, but since we're on the subject of lighting, I got 3 aluminum poles laying on the ground on Sibley. Is there any way we can get those up?
Well, of course we can get those lights up, Alderman. We definitely can. The way to go about doing it, probably, because seeing that this is the first that I've heard about those 3, is if the alderman has an issue, like some of the other aldermen do, reach out to my office either through email or call or text, whichever one works best. I would suggest email, and then I can make sure that if there's an issue that has been overlooked, we will make sure that we get those things done. I'm pretty responsive, and I try to be as much as I possibly can.
Thank you.
So if that's it, then the chair will recognize the alderman from the 5th Ward.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to know, or can someone explain the difference? If I'm correct, in a previous meeting, council approved funding for roads and streets. I believe it was via the county grant on 155th that included complete roads and a bike path. I want to say that was the meeting before last. Is there a difference between the two? Am I mistaken in some way?
Mr. Williams, if you are there he is.
Yes, we were awarded, I believe it's $420,000 grant that we were awarded that was approved a couple of weeks ago. And so that funding will be available to us first quarter. So you'll start to see some construction.
If I'm correct, Alderman Randall L., that was specific to 154th Street, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Mr. Williams?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. So
So I was mistaken. Okay, the numbers are mighty close, and I guess I got them switched up. But okay, I knew we had did something similar like this, and so it was 154th, and this is 155th.
Correct.
Correct. And just for the record, because we've also had conversation, Alderman Randall L., we're still pushing for 150th. So Alderman Randall L. is another one of those that Alderman that makes sure he advocates for his ward. So I want to make sure that the people know that he's definitely put it on my mind and said it to me on several times. We need to work in that area as well. So did we have a first and a second on this already?
No.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk?
No, we still have no motion.
Okay, the chair would entertain, once again, a resolution approving submission of the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program grant application.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the 5th, second by the 3rd. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Crudup?
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert? Alderwoman Drwinski?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Alderman Key. Motion carried, and that is Resolution 2926.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And finally, under new business is new business 5C5. It's an ordinance amending City of Harvey Municipal Code minimum insurance coverage for businesses operating within the City of Harvey. Mr. Tim Williams, our City Administrator, would you please explain this ordinance to the council?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. So this ordinance cleans up some language in one of the chapters concerning the insurance coverage needed for businesses. It was a bit burdensome the way that it was originally written, in which it was causing businesses to carry $300,000 in workers' compensation insurance for each employee. And so I'm sure you can do the math on what that would do to one of our larger, to Ingalls or to one of our larger businesses in the community. So it took the ceiling up. It's $1 million general liability coverage, and we left it at the state statute for the workers' compensation coverage levels. Just making it, just trying to give some relief to the businesses so they weren't carrying such burdensome policies.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending City of Harvey Municipal Code minimum insurance coverage for businesses operating.
Point of order, Mayor.
The chair recognizes the Sixth Ward.
Mr. Williams, you mentioned what it would do to the larger business, but what about the smaller businesses?
If I can answer that, Mr. Williams, it impacts all businesses. But I think the point that Mr. Williams was trying to make is that the larger business, if they have to carry $300,000 per employee, that it would have more of an impact on a larger business. Even with a smaller business, I as a smaller business, carrying $300,000 of insurance per employee increases the overall premium that would have to be paid, and it creates a financial burden on the business, whether small or large. So we're trying to eliminate that to make it less of a burden. Why would you honestly need $300,000, in my opinion, per employee? Some of the smaller businesses, $300,000 may actually cover, but we got it to $1 million. Is that correct, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
That's what it said, $1 million.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's covering all of the employees. So it's just the way, we want to be more business friendly, I believe, here in the city of Harvey. And so as we go through some of these ordinances, and I hope that the committee would take note of the previous ordinance regarding sexual offenders, also this ordinance regarding business insurance, that there's many ordinances within our city code that need this type of cleanup so that we can basically catch up with the world we're in today and be more functional and be more advantageous for the businesses and the residents. So once again, we had an ordinance, the chair will, let me ask you, did we have a motion? I thought we had one.
No, we did
Only
not.
had 5 and 3. Okay, I have to keep up with that. So the
We
chair,
did have one? Wait.
I thought we had one.
No, we didn't.
Did we
No,
not?
we did not.
Yeah, we did.
No.
Okay, well then once again, the chair will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending City of Harvey Municipal Code minimum insurance coverage for businesses operating within the City of Harvey.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the third, second by the first. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderwoman Drowinski,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
No.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Motion carried, and that's ordinance 3411. 3411.
Thank you,
Point
Madam.
of order. Point of order.
Chair recognizes the first ward.
I was just taken back on the last meeting that we had when the majority voted, then the mayor got to vote. Is that optional, or does he vote on all the cases when it's the majority?
You have to unmute. Okay, very late.
Oh,
It's his option.
his option. All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. So, it's yeah. Just to make sure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that observation, Alderwoman Winston. Our next item on the agenda is old business 6A. It is an ordinance amending chapter 5-112, providing for the regulation of solicitors, peddlers, and itinerant merchants within the city of Harvey, Illinois. It was sent to the Legislative Committee on May 26, 2020. Excuse me. So the first thing that the chair would entertain is a motion to move this ordinance out of committee?
I'll make the motion to move it out of committee.
Second.
It's been motioned by the first and second by the third. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Key, Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
No.
Alderman Tolbert. Motion carried to move out of committee.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Now,
Point of order.
the chair recognizes the Alderwoman of the First Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In today's newspaper, it came with an article that I read, effective January 1st, 2021. All vendors, merchants doing business in the state of Illinois must pay Illinois tax. Does this ordinance have anything to do with that as well? To making that where peddlers or solicitors or merchants in Harvey, would they be subject to paying the Illinois tax as well?
Corporation Counsel?
I believe they're going to be obligated to pay the tax, but not this ordinance does not impact that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Drewinski. Once again, the chair would entertain excuse me, a motion to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 5-112, providing for the regulation of solicitors, peddlers, and itinerant merchants within the city of Harvey, Illinois.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by the first.
Second.
Second, did I hear the fifth first?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I heard the fifth. Was that you, Alderman Randall?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a motion by the first, second by the fifth. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Rogers,
No.
Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderwoman Drewinski.
Yes.
Motion carried. That's ordinance 3412, 3412.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item for old business is 6B, an ordinance providing for the issuance of temporary utility permits for the purposes of cleaning and preparing properties prior to occupancy or sale. This was sent to the Legislative Committee on October 26, 2020. Once again, it is more than 30 days old, and so the chair would entertain a motion to move this ordinance from committee.
Point of order.
Before we move any further, may I like to have a point of order?
The chair recognizes, I believe it was first the third ward.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted, if possible, this ordinance to stay because, if I'm not mistaken, Alderman Randall L., he wanted, I think it was a small adjustment to this ordinance, and we didn't have the meeting in light of what happened with the Tolbert family. So,
is that correct, Alderman Randall L.?
Yes, I was going to ask that also before we voted. I didn't know if an amendment to this ordinance was possible now to pass it with an amendment. My only request was an extension. I believe, I haven't looked at it today. I believe it was 5 or 10 days, and I wanted it to be 30 days to give property preservation companies an opportunity to do the work without having to not have use of those utilities, from my understanding, on the current ordinance, that they would have a maximum of 10 days, I believe it is.
Okay, Corporation Counsel, would it be able to make that amendment?
They can make that amendment on the floor right now. It doesn't have to go back to committee to do that.
So if there would be no objections to doing so, we can make that amendment on the floor, and if so, remove it from committee, or you can just let your, tell you what, let's first. Oh no, I'll handle it this way. We can, if that's something that you are amenable to, then your vote to move from committee would reflect as such. And then as we go into the, if it is removed out of committee, then we will, I'll ask for a motion to approve with the amendment as provided by Alderman Randall Elvin. Then you can take a vote on that. And that's kind of how I plan on moving forward. So the chair would entertain a motion to remove the ordinance from committee. That would be the first part.
Motion.
So moved.
So it's motion by the third, second by the fifth. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Crudup.
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert. Alderwoman Drewinski.
Yes.
Alderman Rogers.
Well, I had an issue. No.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Motion carried to move out of committee.
Great. Press that button. So now the chair would entertain a motion. So what I would like for you to do, Alderman Randall L., you would make your amendment to the motion at this particular point in time, for the record.
The permit shall be for 30 days.
Okay.
Point of order.
The chair recognizes the Alderman from the 6th Ward.
That was one of the things I wanted to talk about was the length of the permit from 10 days to 30 days. But I need to know what's the dollar amount going to be for 30-day permit?
Good question.
Legislation calls for $50.
That's what it was for 10 days. So it's still going to remain $50.
Mayor, may I?
Yes. The Alderman, which one was that? Was that Alderman Crudup or was that Alderman Randall L?
Randall L.
Alderman Randall L?
Yeah, so the reason why I didn't suggest an amendment as far as the payment was because as it was explained by Timothy Williams, our city administrator, is that the cost that was consumed by the city was in regard to sending personnel out to turn the water on and turn it off. Whether you make the permit for 10 days or 30 days, they still only do two functions, turn it on or turn it off. So that's why I did not see a need to amend the permit cost. Now, if there's another factor that I may not be aware of to consider, I'll be glad to hear it.
That's very well stated, Alderman Randall L. Thank you. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve for the issuance of an ordinance providing for the issuance of a temporary utility permit for the purposes of cleaning and preparing properties prior to occupancy or sale, with the amendment of changing the period of time from 10 days to 30 days.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the 5th and second by the 6th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Key. Alderman Crudup.
Yes.
Alderwoman Drewinski.
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.
Yes.
Alderman Rogers.
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert. Motion carried. That's ordinance 3413.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And finally, under old business is 6C. It's an ordinance approving the business district plan for the Dixie Highway Business District, designating the business district, making a blighted area finding within the business district, and imposing a business district service occupation tax within the boundaries of Harvey's Dixie Highway Business District. This was sent to the Legislative Committee on October 26, 2020. The chair would entertain a motion to remove this ordinance from committee.
So moved.
Motion by the third. Did I hear a second by the fifth?
Second.
Second by the fifth. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Key. Motion to remove.
Now the chair would entertain a motion to approve an ordinance approving the business district plan for the Dixie Highway Business District, designating the business district, making a blighted area finding within the business district, and imposing a business district service occupation tax within the boundaries of Harvey's Dixie Highway Business District.
So moved.
Motion by the fifth, second by the third. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Yes.
Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Key. Motion carried. Ordinance 3414, 3414.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Our next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk?
I only had those four. Should I ask again about those two that we did not hear?
Yes,
Is
please.
Deborah Dyson, and Betty Hall. That's it.
Okay, not hearing any public comment, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by the first,
Second.
second by the third. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Drewinski,
Yes.
Alderman Tolbert, Alderman Crudup,
Yes.
Alderman Key, Alderman Randall L.,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much, City Council and staff. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. Practice protocols for social distancing. Understand that even though a vaccine has entered the United States, that we still must be diligent in our efforts to prevent the spread. So masks are extremely important. So is washing your hands, and so is social distancing. In the meantime, everyone, please try to be safe. And let's just be good to each other. All right. Thank you very much. Be blessed and take care and have a great week.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good